Christian Pulisic has completed his transfer to AC Milan from Chelsea. The 24-year-old, as you just saw, will be wearing the number 11 and he'll be looking to hold down a regular spot in the team ahead of what's a very important few years ahead for the US men's national team. He sat down with our Graham Hunter. Let's hear more about what he had to say.
You're going to be the first US-born man to start for Milan. A historic punch when you say that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just proud to be here. It doesn't matter where I'm from, to be playing for a club like this. Obviously, to represent my country and to be the first one to come here and hopefully, make a big impact at this club. That's what I want to do. I want to come and I want to help this team to win titles, and that's what I'm here to do. That's what this club has done in all its history, and I'm just thrilled to get the chance to do that.
You're going to start working for the coach, the allenatore, Pioli. You've spoken to him a little bit. Try to, without giving secrets away, try to give some feeling about how he convinced you, what his energy was like. He
made me feel like he wanted me here. He wanted me to be a part of this team, and he saw me fitting into this team, and that's what I wanted to hear. Obviously I want a fair opportunity like everyone else to have the chance to come here. I still need to earn my place, of course, but it felt like I was wanted here. And I have a great opportunity if I show good effort, good attitude every day and train well, that I'm going to get the opportunity to go out and perform.
Could you have been given more opportunities, a better, regular, fair chance to prove yourself on the pitch for your previous club?
Of course, I'd like to think so. Of course, there were definitely times where I wish I could have gotten that, more of an opportunity and been that guy, but yeah, for whatever reason, that's not the case. And like I said, I'm just so excited for this new challenge, and I'm definitely ready and up for it.
Casey Keller's still with us. We welcome in Frank Leboeuf as well. And I will start with you, Frank, just on that Chelsea angle. Did he get a raw deal at the club?
You know what? It is what it is, and I think he had to go. I think it wasn't part of the plans, and I want to wish him the best, but I have to say that what he showed, what he was playing for Chelsea, wasn't enough for the club that he wanted to play for. There were some expectation. He's a great player. He shows it every time he plays with the national team, but it's never been the case with Chelsea, where sometimes he did it, but the inconsistency that he showed talked against him and showed to the world that maybe it was too much for Chelsea. I don't know if Milan's going to be at his level, or it will be at the level of Milan. I don't know. Milan is not the Milan that I used to play against, where you had the De Sailly, the Baresi, and so many absolutely fantastic players. But Pulisic is a great player. He has to be fit by his teammates, to be helped by his teammates. And it never worked really well for Chelsea. Hopefully it's going to work for Milan.
Okay, Ali, what stood out to you in that interview that we just saw from Pulisic?
What we were discussing yesterday and the day before, and what he heard from the manager. And I think this is important to Christian Pulisic, and it becomes clearer and clearer every time that we hear him talk, is that the manager said to him, I want you here. And to be appreciated as a player, that obviously that plays a part. You want somebody that expresses that need and desire to have you as part of their team. That makes you feel good. That feeds your ego. That feeds your confidence. And when you feel good about yourself and when you feel confident about your game, then obviously you would suggest and you would assume you're going to play better. So it was clear from the interview that the first thing he mentioned about the importance of the manager is that the manager was very clear with him in saying, I want you here. Which then brings me to the next thing. Here's a manager that wants you here. And it all feels like it's all set up for success for Christian Pulisic. So now it's about the player performing. Nothing else. Nothing else. No other story, no other excuse, no need to explain it away. The manager wanted you here. The club wanted you here. You wanted to be here. Now here's the opportunity, and just allow your talent to take over. Be available, stay fit, be ready to play, and when you get the opportunity to do so, have an impact on the field. If we do that, then clearly this is going to be a success. If he doesn't, then the questions will be on Christian Pulisic, not on Chelsea, not on Milan, not on Pioli, or anybody else.
Is there a feeling, Casey, that this is a make or break kind of move for Pulisic?
Well, it is if he wants to be in that upper echelon of clubs. When you go from a Dortmund, to a Chelsea with a lot of expectation, like Frank alluded to, he flirted with times when he played well, injuries got in the way, managerial changes all the time, couldn't quite really establish himself at the level that I think everybody at Chelsea hoped. And then here's an opportunity to go to another world-class club. And I agree with Frank. It's not the AC Milan of the Maldinis and the Braces and the Ruud Gullits and the Marco van Bastens, but it's still a massive, massive club with a lot of expectation. And it's an opportunity for him to reestablish himself. Look, it's not like players haven't had to leave Chelsea to reestablish themselves. Players have done that at times and have gone on to be some of the best players in the world. So Christian has a huge opportunity, and to Ollie's point, there's no excuses. It's a manager that wanted you, it's a club that wanted you, and it's a place that you wanted to be. So now it's up to you to reestablish yourself as a top-class footballer at a top club.
It might not be the Milan of yesteryear, Shaka, but it is still Milan. It's a huge club in world football. Is there more pressure on him here or at Chelsea when he was at Chelsea?
As everybody alluded to, the whole Chelsea thing was just odd. From the time Maurizio Sarri, or from the time he signed, and Maurizio Sarri coming out and saying, well, I didn't really want Pulisic. This was more an Abramovich thing. I mean, and to Ali's point, which is why from the time he says, well, a manager who wants me, that stands out. That's what everybody hears, because you understand that history, that history from signing for Chelsea and then the frustrations around all the managers that come as a result, whether we're talking Lampard or Tuchel, Potter, and then injuries and not giving runs in the teams. So I think there was less expectation around Christian Pulisic than maybe hope. That hope that he could hit some of those heights that maybe he promised in his earliest days at Dortmund. This is different though. And I think Ali's absolutely right in everything he says. This is a 24-year-old Christian Pulisic who's coming into a team. Yes, it's not the Milan of old, as everybody's spoken about. It is a team that has a sharper focus on youth. Pioli has gotten that reputation of being able to get the best out of his young players, to develop them. And Christian Pulisic fits into that mold. So now coming in, the pressure is different. The pressure is, there is no more the excuse about the manager not really wanting him. Or, as I mentioned with Sarri. And while I've sat here and I thought Pulisic would be better served lower down, say, in the Premier League, because the expectation isn't that high I'll use my old club, like a West Ham. And despite all the changes that we're talking about, and we acknowledge with AC Milan, and they aren't the club that they once were, this is still AC Milan. And there is still an expectation to finish top four. And if you don't, then fingers will start pointing somewhere along the line. And that's my concern, that if you falter and Milan don't live up to an expectation, realistic or not, the fans expect top four, somebody's going to be the scapegoat. And that's a concern that I feel, I'm not sure Christian Pulisic is perfectly positioned to handle. I think he needed a little bit more of establishing himself at that league, at a club with less expectation, less pressure, to be able to handle what comes with wearing an AC Milan shoe.
Now, our boys on Football America has decided to give him a grade for his time at Chelsea. Okay. Herc started and gave him a B-. Mm-hmm.
I want Herc as all my professors.
Right. Sebi thought that was very rude, and Herc had to talk Sebi down from going into the A's, and finally settled on a B+.
Well, I want Sebi as all my professors now.
Never mind.
Goodness me.
Never mind her. Give me Seb.
Is that too generous, Casey?
I think there's snapshots of his career at Chelsea that would be getting, B grades. But I think overall, when, the expectation of coming in with the price tag, but again, that expectation was weird because, again, like you said, he was signed, but then he was loaned back. And then the manager then saying, I'm not so sure he was the guy I wanted. So, yeah. So I think that kind of leads into maybe they're grading on a curve because of all that stuff that went on. But yeah, I think that's pretty generous from the guys when he never really was an out and out starter, never really was, the guy that Chelsea counted on. And then in the end, they took, what is it, a third of what they paid for him to let him go. So yeah, I think the Bs are pretty generous.
Okay, so we've got an American here. We've got a former Chelsea player here. Casey, we need a grade from you.
I'd probably go into probably just that average, that C+. That I don't think he quite. At times he was pushing good grades. And then at other times, when you spend a lot of time on the treatment table, weren't able to get the consistency that Frank talked about in his opening remarks. So, yeah, I think it's kind of a C. Now I'd love to see him, get the grades that he got in the Nations League for the national team over these last, those last two matches. I'd love to see him get into those A's, but you can only do that by having that consistency of performance at club level week in and week out.
Casey's got to stop talking because he started at C+ and went into a C. If he keeps talking, it's going to be a D pretty soon.
It was interesting to listen to the debate on Football Americas. What about the former Chelsea player? What grade do you give him, Frank Leboeuf?
Well, when you say that Erk gave him a B- and changed his mind, I say, well, he was already generous for me. A C is the maximum I would give to Christian because we know the talent. He shows it every time he plays with the national team. So it's the expectation for me is even bigger every time I see him. So I say he's capable of doing that. Why he didn't do with Chelsea. And again, we are always talking with club about consistency, and because of injury or because of his the way he was playing and the level that he was playing wasn't enough, and he wasn't therefore on the bench. For me, it wasn't enough. What the club paid for him, what he showed on the pitch, how much they sold him, and throughout the year, the average performances that he had. Yeah, a C is only fair for me because I think he can give more, and he should give more to Milan. Don't forget that he's saying that the coach wants him, but he's going to find what we can call a tradition in Italy, where all defenses will be very, very strong, very structured. It's going to be hard to break them down, which is not really the case what Christian found in Germany or in England. It's going to be even harder. So Milan will need, and Christian will need the best of the Pulisic.
We're going to let Casey Keller go before he gets talked around to giving him an A star. But we do hope that's ahead for him at AC Milan, obviously.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.